What's up, guys? I'm going to choose podcast. My name is Salman Ali at Salman Ali NBA on Twitter. Here, joined by Forrest Walker at Do Nots on Twitter. How you doing?
Not bad. I just watched a pretty good basketball game a couple hours ago.
And we're going to talk about that in a second. Real quick, before we get into it, if you're watching on YouTube, comment down below and give this episode a thumbs up down below. That helps other Rockets fans find the show. Also, subscribe and turn on the bell notifications for new Red Nation Hoops episodes every week. And the best way you can support my work is by going to rednationhoops.com and becoming a paid subscriber to the newsletter. All right, Forrest, we've now watched the first two games of Rockets Summer League, and we do this thing every year with the Rockets. We're like, they just have an incredible Summer League roster, and it's because of the top end talent they've been drafting, obviously. But like this year in particular, hold on, like I gotta be honest, like I thought I'd have a lot to say. I think largely my takeaway is I'm speechless. Like the abundance of high level young talent that the Rockets possess right now. Like 2 games in, like Reed Sheppard and Cam Whitmore have officially reached like too good for summer league levels, right?
Yeah. The people I was watching the game with were like, so they're both done after this game, right?
Right.
I'm like, yeah, unless they want to play, they're done.
Right, like Cam was already there last year, by the way. Like he won summer league MVP, but he came back and he's continuing the tradition this year. And Reed was obviously awesome. We'll talk more granularly about him in a second. Forrest, these two prospects weren't even supposed. These are two guys they aren't even supposed to have the Rockets. Like they are direct results of the James Harden trade. Like they don't need these guys. Like take these guys aside, throw them away for a second. They still have Şengün, Jabari, Tari, Amen, and Jalen. I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless.
And I'm gonna add on to that. All right, look. I was just talking to someone about this earlier too, because how can I not? How can you not talk anything else other than these guys look good and they are such a bonus? Like the fact that the Rockets got 19 games better, they had a break-even season when they weren't supposed to, that they sniffed, they nearly clawed their way into the play-in, and the team looks ahead of schedule, and then they get the number 3 pick, and Reed Sheppard is the guy they get. That's a luxury which is decadent. It's this quality. It's unbelievable. Like this is wild dream stuff right here. Look, like, and we don't know how good Reed Sheppard is going to be. I'm sure we'll get to talking about what the performances mean, don't mean, etc. But the fact that they have these guys is such a huge luxury for this team. Like it really seems like they're going to come across which guys do we pay and which guys do we trade at a hefty bounty sooner rather than later, which is a good problem to have. This team is, I want to get at some point in this I want to get to like a holistic view on the Rockets team right now, but
sure.
Like watching these summer league games is a joy, and not just because the guys playing are playing out of their mind right now and it's fun to see them dunking in game and stuff, but because if you're a fan of the Rockets right now, you are seeing everything you want to see.
Do you remember like 8 years ago when we would watch Summer League and like the highlight coming out of it is like, oh, this Donatas Motiejunas kid is like amazing, right? And like that's the one guy. That's the one thing that we'd have. There'd be like one little tiny morsel that the Rockets would give us in terms of young talent, right? We haven't had this. Like, no. Did Yao even play in Summer League? I don't remember. Did they have Summer League?
That was 22 years ago. I could not tell you.
I don't know, right? Like I can't like Summer League got really big about 15 years ago around. Like that's what it started gaining momentum 15 years ago, right? And I can't remember the last time the Rockets have had a Summer League roster pre-2020 that was worth watching, right? But every single year of this rebuild has been must-watch television, and it's because they have not one, but oftentimes multiple young players that are playing every year that are amazing.
They're liable to be on the final roster, not just like, who knows, we'll sign some guys. They're using this as a legitimate prospect and evaluation and like growth stadium for their players.
These are
The Rockets
two-way
are in on Summer
contracts.
League.
Yeah. Like these are like, okay, these might be building block pieces for Houston, right? And like, okay, Sheppard and Whitmore in particular, and I know I said this before, but I'm going to come back to it. When I say they don't need these guys, like, backtrack, they almost didn't want these guys because they were in serious considerations of trading both the 20th pick last year before they knew Whitmore was falling to them, and the Reed pick this year before they knew they were in position to get Reed, before they knew they were going to jump in the lottery, right? Like they wanted to trade both of those before before they ended up knowing what those picks would become, value wise, right? And because they've just acquired so much young talent, they're just like, you know what? Like, we don't even want any more picks. Like, let's move these
Too many guys. Yeah.
Yeah, let's move these 2 Brooklyn picks away, right? Like, we'll push it down. We'll get some Phoenix picks that could still end up being awesome, right? Because we're talking late year Phoenix picks. That's another problem. We'll talk about that in a second, right? When we talk about holistic stuff with the Rockets, they traded into the late 2020s because they didn't want any more picks because they have so much good young talent. That almost doesn't happen.
Yeah, they have not only done a very good job, but they've also gotten incredibly lucky. Like, they shouldn't have had a shot at Reed Sheppard. They should have, by all rights, been picking at what, like 16 or something, I think? Like, that's not supposed to happen. They had a very low chance of this happening, and it did happen, which, as they say, luck is just being able to take advantage of opportunities. Well, they took advantage of the opportunity. Things came up. They rolled 7s on that one. And now here they are with an embarrassment of riches. And, look, I'm sure people are saying pump the brakes, right? Like, we will see what all this ends up meaning, no brake bumping at full speed.
No, like, this is ridiculous. It's okay to be to objective. Yeah. If you want to be objective, the move isn't, okay, let's tone down the optimism, right? The move is, let's find out where the truth is. And the truth is way into the optimism column.
I mean, this is going as well as it reasonably could right now. Like,
right.
I mean, they didn't come out there and look like Michael Jordan 2.0, but that was never going to happen with anybody. These guys are looking as good as anybody could have expected them to look. Everything is going well. The team is happy. It's great to watch. So I guess let's pick apart how delicious this is.
Yeah, organizationally, they have 7. They have 7 real prospects here. They have a very good general manager, a very good head coach, a very good culture. This is what we want. This is all you would want. If you're a Rockets fan, like, objectively, like, don't listen to anybody who tells you to take like a cold drink of water on this. Like, it's fine to ruminate in this. This is an amazing situation. Objectively, like, you and I have been critical on the Rockets several times through not just through the rebuild.
For historically, yeah.
Right. Yeah. We can throw punches when it's necessary. It's not necessary right now. They're kicking ass. It's fine. It's fine to compliment them. Let's talk about the young players, though. Let's talk about these 2 guys. I think a lot of people are watching Reed Sheppard for the first time right now. Right? I think
I don't watch college basketball, so I'm among them.
Right. No, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But, like, there was a group of people that would talk about Reed Sheppard in this very derogatory way, right? Oh, he's just a shooter. I can't believe the Rockets are using the number 3 overall pick on him, right? That was out there. Not like national types saying that, like Rockets fans saying that. I saw that, right? And it's like, oh no. Just a good basketball player.
Yeah, this guy's a baller, man.
Yeah, first of all, he's not just a shooter. He's one of the best shooting prospects of all time. Like, all time, flat out. Second of all, the guy can pass, he competes defensively, and despite being a white dude, he's not a bad athlete, right? And he's got great feel, right? I mean, come on, like, that's going to be there. Like that's clearly there, right? That's clearly the undertone of this conversation, right? Like, I think it's fair to say he's a good athlete. And he is undersized, right? He is 6'2" with a 6'2", 3.5 wingspan, right? Like, that could be that could come into that could be a problem down the line, right? It hasn't so far at all through his college career, through summer league. He's had longer defenders guard him. That's been a thing. it hasn't affected him, right? I think people looked at like kind of like him on paper without actually going through the film. Here are his stats through summer league: 22.5 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game, 3 steals per game, 2 blocks per game, 56% from the field, 45% from 3. He's awesome. He's the real deal, the real freaking deal. Possibly the best prospect of this class. We'll see. We're very, very early to make proclamations like that. But like going into it, like he was top 2 on my board, right? So I don't think it's crazy if someone had him number 1 on their board. The Rockets apparently had him number 1 on their board. He's awesome, and we'll get into more granular stuff. But like, what have been your first offhand like impressions of him?
All right, so summer league generally. Well, let's preface this sort of the overall deal with summer
You're gonna
league.
do this. Come on.
I got it. You can't. The main thing you need to take away from summer league is if a guy looks too good for summer league. That's
Okay.
what you want to see out of summer league players, right?
All
When
right.
you have a top prospect and you have someone who you're hoping is going to turn into a real NBA player, like a quality, high level NBA player, you want to see them look too good for it. And he looks too good for this. Like, he is cleaning up out there. He's obviously up there. Like, him and Cam are just mashing everyone. They look seasoned and they look just a step quicker than everyone else in the summer league games right now. And that is the best possible thing that they could show you. That's the best possible thing that he could show you as a rookie, especially. That, look, we will see what happens in actual NBA games. This is a very good sign for that. But like, we'll see against a real NBA talent. But like, there's no red flags right now. The flags are green. This is good. We might not see him again for the rest of summer league, which is too bad because I've loved watching him play. He's an exciting and fun player who he just goes out there and does everything, man. He sees passes, he gets in passing lanes, he's running. He's happy to be there, and he looks like he knows that he belongs to be out there. So if you're a Rockets fan and or a Reed Sheppard fan, you're seeing everything you would hope to be seeing right now. And I want to see more of him before October, but we're likely not going to because there's really we don't need to see anything else.
You know what's unfortunate? Unless you're like a big time RGV guy, like this may be the most Reed Sheppard you're gonna watch, right? Like because of how crowded the rotation is, particularly the guard rotation. He's got Fred in front of him. He's got Jalen in front of him for now. He's got Cam. He's got Dylan Brooks, right? He's got like that guard to wing rotation is very, very crowded. And they brought back Aaron Holiday, right? Which we'll talk about in a second, right? It's going to be hard for him to crack that rotation unless there's injuries. So this may be like for some people, this may be the most they see of Reed Sheppard all year, right? So soak it in. Soak it in.
I mean, he'll get preseason burn too. That's what preseason is for
You're,
as well.
You're right.
If he shows up really well in preseason, then we'll see how, look, the hope is obviously that he's so obviously ready for this that they carve out some minutes for him at the professional level. But yeah, this is the kind of guy that you do let him go run circles around the G League for a while you deal with your rotation log jam up here.
Yeah. And I think he's the kind of guy that may, you know what, let's save that. Let's save that. Let's save it. So let's talk about like what we see for him in the NBA, right? And then we'll get to Whitmore later. So like Reed Sheppard, really quick, again, I said it at the top, 6'2", 6'3.5" wingspan. The way for him to hit his ceiling in the NBA, the way for him to be a star in the NBA is not a shooting guard. It's a point guard. Everyone kind of knew that. It was kind of obvious there. Right? Like it was uncomfortable. It was an uncomfortable truth that like what he's kind of like in terms of ceiling, in terms of upside, he's kind of one position limited. He's gonna have to be a point guard if he wants to hit his apex, right? Otherwise, he's gonna be kind of a backup guy his whole career, right? Which is there's nothing wrong with that. But they spent the number 3 overall pick on him. Granted, not the best draft, but like. You want him to play point guard. You want him to play point guard to keep all upside scenarios on the table. And if you want him to play point guard, you need him to do a couple things, right? One, you need him to be high usage, which he was. He didn't get the opportunity to be at Duke. Not at Duke, excuse me, at Kentucky, right? I don't know why he was coming off the bench. Like, I really don't know why. Like, I'm guessing. I mean, this is a college thing, right? He shouldn't have been coming. He shouldn't have been. He should have been starting. He should have been taking more than 4 threes a game. It was ridiculous. Like the way he was being used in college. but the diversity of his offense is quite healthy, right? It's not just threes, right? First of all, the diversity in which he's getting the threes. It's not just off the catch. He's hitting off the dribble. He's getting it off the catch. He's hitting it on the move, right? It's not just threes. It's mid range.
Yeah,
he's hitting it.
Creating some really nice middies for himself in this last game.
Right, and a lot of it's kind of like soft in motion, which is like very nasty, like Steve Nash, right? Like that. It's not even Chris Paul, right? Like because Chris Paul, obviously great mid-range jumper, but Chris Paul's jumper wasn't as soft as this, right? It's very Steve Nashish in that way, right? Like that Steve Nash could pause kind of in air while he's moving, right? Like I love Steve Nash, probably my favorite player of all time. But just so he comes to mind right away, right? But the floaters there, so is he gonna struggle against size? Maybe, but he's got giant killers there, right? He's got the floater, he's got the mid-range jumper, he's got stop and pops, and he hits these contested, so it's not like size bothers him.
And he is willing to shoot any shot too. He airballed a 3 from the logo in a pull-up in transition tonight, which on the one hand is not a good shot. On the other hand, this man is willing to take any shot that he is given on the floor. A guy who is willing to pop that for no reason other than to keep the defense on their toes, I honestly respect that. Like, look, obviously don't go taking ludicrous 30-foot 3-pointers, but he is unafraid at all points. He's willing to shoot, and he's willing. His passing eyes are so good. He is so willing to make passes. He's a player who takes high risk actions, which, if you're good enough, is an elite skill. Like, and he's already showing that if he's not there, he has the potential to get there, where his high risk mentality is going to pay off because he's going to be able to capitalize on these things. He is not afraid at the moment. I think he's aware that he does need to be the point guard to really flourish, because he was out there looking to distribute and looking to score at every opportunity. He looked like a player who was assured that this is his team to run, and he's going to do it.
I mean, for sure, right? And like it's natural. He's got great feel, as you said. Like he sees. It's not just that he sees the opportunities to make passes, right? It's that he's making those passes, right? Which sometimes guys are seeing it, right? But they're not. It's not. The game is too fast for them. Something or another. They're just not connecting the dots. He's doing it, right? The game is not too fast for him. These are high-level athletes. A lot of them are faster than him, right? And he's still reading the game at like his pace. It's not bothering him. He gets to the free throw line, right? One thing that I think is you could make a real critique in terms of like his upside, right? He doesn't have that much shake, right? He pretty much needs screens, right? Like to really dominate, he needs screens, right? But I mean, that's fine, right? Like because he was never projected to be this super uber athlete, right? He wasn't Jalen Green, right? That wasn't him. Can he have shake, right? Like every once in a while he'll do that. He'll pull out a move like he did. That was really a double dribble, if we're being honest. But like he'll do that, right? Every once in a while. But really, this is a guy who operates coming off of like playing in pick and roll, and the NBA is a pick and roll league. As long as guys aren't like blitzing him, like he's gonna be successful, highly successful in that area, right? And he's gonna need great screen setters. I think him playing off in the bench rotation with Steven Adams is gonna be really fun, right? Like one of the dirtiest screen setters in the game. I mean, Steven Adams is like a notoriously dirty screen setter, right? And
he will get a guy out your way.
Yeah, and Reed's gonna benefit off that. I mean, he looks like a point guard, man. Like he really does. He looks like a point, and defensively, yeah, he doesn't move his, but he is athletic enough to where sometimes it doesn't matter, right? Like he'll catch up and like contest anyways.
He goes for blocks and steals too.
He's averaging two blocks and three steals a game. And in college, he was averaging like the same thing. Like he has great hands, right? He's very in the rhythm of the game. He's going to be a positive. I can't say enough good things about him. It's really whether the only question we have left about Reed Sheppard is in the NBA, can he hit his high end outcomes? Are you willing to bet on that as an organization? Obviously, now you don't, right? It's just too early.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 years in, once you get a greater sample size of him in the NBA, maybe. I mean, you certainly can't dismiss that possibility off what we saw in college. And I'm not. You can't take these summer league games with a grain of salt. But he hasn't done anything to dispute the college sample size.
Yeah, I mean he's looked at home, and as I said, he looked better than summer league. So he's passed that test already, and it's going to be we're going to see him get NBA minutes sooner or later. How much we see and when is the question, and so we will see how he's going to fare against NBA talent and where he's going to land in this possibility space. But he's not a bust, you know. Like
No.
This is the first test. Is this guy a bust? No, he's not. He's worth playing, and they're going to play him. The question is when and how much.
How much do you buy into the high end outcomes?
I don't know. I mean, it's 2 summer league games, so
I mean, yeah, I mean, sure, but like you've kind of read up on this guy as a prospect, right? Like I'm sure you have some idea of, or you have some belief, right? Like in terms of like maybe not. I'm not going to ask you to rank him against the Rockets core. That's like way too early for that, right? But like rank him against like your average guard prospect. Like how likely is this guy to reach like all-star level in your opinion?
I think he has a real shot at all-star, which is very impressive. Like I think I don't know. My initial impression is that his floor is like a solid player in the league. Like I don't think he's going to be anything less than a guy who's going to have like a decade-plus career in the NBA.
He's going to be a playoff guard rotation guy.
Yeah, he's like a playoff rotation guy at least, I think.
Yeah.
So he already looks comfortable, and this is also informed by me seeing not only him talk but engage with other players.
The high fives are crazy. Like he's constantly just touching guys.
Yeah, and this guy is smart and he's a grinder. Like you can immediately tell like he's a character fit for the team, which it doesn't mean everything, but it does mean something. I mean, some of the best teams out there care about character fit. And this is a dude who is gassing up his teammates. He's out there talking about, being just happy to be here. He's clearly clever enough to like know what to say to people, which is important. I don't know. His attitude seems good. His motor seems good. His motivation seems good, and his like basketball IQ all seem good. Like
he was built in a lab. Like parents are basketball players. He seems to be a great kid, right? Like everybody seems to, even the teammates, right? Like these are new teammates for him, right? And they all like him already, right? And I think part of it's like him like putting in that effort, right? Like after every play, the dude is like helping a guy up, high five, slap on the ass, right? Like it's just constant, right? Like teammate stuff, right? Little teammate stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like listen, like all-star odds probably low, but like they exist, right?
Yeah,
they're real, right? Like, and that's that's something, right? For a draft class that was supposedly weak, you're getting that at the number 3 spot. Like, I mean, that says something. All right, Cam. Oh my God, Cam.
That one dunk, that cockback dunk was crazy. he got a lob for like a handed dunk that was he floated in the air for a second. This guy he's everything we knew he already was, right? He's quick, he's athletic, he's talented.
No new information.
Confident. Yeah, he's still killing everyone. Cool.
Yeah, it's like okay, like we weren't hallucinating last year, right? Like, that's basically what this was. Cam Whitmore in the summer league, 22.5 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 4.5 steals, 53% from the field. He was clearly making a concerted effort to pass the basketball. If I were to say something that was new, you can tell people have told him that this is a weakness of his. Like as I've said before, he's a ball hog. Like he's always been a ball hog. That's fine. He's a great ball hog to have. But yeah, he was passing the ball. He was doing it pretty well. Granted, summer league, but that did intrigue me. The fact that he's trying to make an effort to improve there. Like, listen, the guy's a freak athlete. He's a freak athlete. There's a reason I consider him to be the 3rd best prospect on the Rockets, period, point blank. He's a man amongst boys already. His body was built for the NBA on day one. Forrest, it's just malpractice that he was taken 20th overall instead of 5th last year for ambiguous reasons. That would
Look,
never be
yeah,
ridiculous to me.
I understand if the reasons are entirely medical. I
Oh,
don't agree,
I
but at
don't.
least that's
Yeah.
like a thing. Any part of it which may have been like people not liking his introversion or something.
Yeah.
Going back to that again, if you're not taking a player this caliber because you're worried he's too quiet or something, you need to sit back and let the real GMs do the job.
Yeah, maybe it's time to retire Pat Riley. Right?
I don't know.
Well, I say Pat Riley because he's one of the GMs that passed
Yeah.
on him. He took Jaime Jaquez above him, right? Jaime Jaquez
Well,
having a
nothing
good
wrong
summer
with
league,
Jaime Jaquez.
right?
Good player.
But this is Jaime Jaquez is also 3 years older than Cam Whitmore, right? Like
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Cam Whitmore just turned 20. This guy is young. He isn't Reed Sheppard like about the same age as Cam?
Yeah, I mean he that like it's just like I don't understand it. I'll never understand it. Like this general manager speak where they have a 30-minute interview with the guy, and like I don't know why they put so much weight into this crap. I maintain, like, this is where I get into conspiracy Salman, right? Like I really believe that people had these interviews with Cam and they masked the reason they didn't draft him for, oh, it was injuries, when really they it was probably the interview that turned them off. And I think it's stupid. I think the reason they didn't they weren't upfront about it was because they knew it was stupid. On some level, they knew it was stupid to not draft a guy because he interviewed poorly. That's a stupid reason. It's dumb that he fell to 20. He should have been taken fifth, if not like in the top 10 somewhere. Again, they don't need him, right? They don't need him. It's ridiculous that they have him. My God, Cam is awesome. I do believe he's going to be an all-star. I have pretty good confidence in that. Like, I think he's going to be an all-star in the NBA.
Tonight, at one point, he dunked through two guys.
Yeah.
Right? This is a guy who is built like a ball of muscle. Like, he is physically unstoppable, and he increasingly has the will to use this to destroy you night in and night out. So, yeah, it was great to see him do that. I loved after the game, they asked him, are you going to try to win? They tried to ask him, are you going to play the rest of Summer League? By saying, are you going to try to defend your is there a need for you to defend your MVP Summer League? And he said, no, there's no need. He didn't answer if he was going to keep playing or not, but like, yeah, there's no need. Everyone already knows that you're too good for this.
Yeah, the secret's
you're just
out.
Here. Yeah, you're just here for fun, basically. So
do
whatever you want to do.
I love that the Rockets are getting guys to come back. Right? Like, I'm kind of bummed that Amen didn't come back. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
like,
he's there. He's not
there,
playing.
but like, I don't know why why is Cam playing and you're not playing? Right? Like, we played 3 quarters last year, right? Like I get it. You were a starter, right? Like, for the Rockets. Like, no, was he a start? No, I can't.
He started for a couple games.
He started for a couple games. I'm blanking off for some reason. Like, I get it. Like, you were like a premium like rotation player for the Rockets. Like, you were in the top 8, right? But come on, like, there's no reason you shouldn't. Like, if Jabari came back last year, if Cam came back this year, man, you should have came back. Like, I love you. You're my second favorite prospect on the Rockets. But like, I think you should have played. Whatever the case, I love the fact that they're getting like a lot of their guys to come back for Summer League. Tari played last year too. Tari Easy played last year too. I forgot about him. Now let's get in. Like, you said, you wanted to have a holistic conversation, Forrest. Can I lead into that with like my big takeaway from this? It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, but it gets back to that good problem to have. All in all, my biggest takeaway here is that Jaylen Green better watch his back, man. He better watch his back. I said this on the podcast that I think Cam is already a better player than him, flat out better prospect than him. I think if this dude doesn't make a 4th-year leap this year, Jaylen, which I think he can, but if he doesn't, Amen, Cam, and now Reed, that backcourt is looking crowded. There's just no way Houston's going to be able to pay and play all these guys. And Jaylen better hope he can separate himself from the sooner rather than later. And even if he's good, Forrest, he could still look expendable if all these dudes outplay him. That's just the reality of the situation we're in right now. This is a very good problem to have if you're the Rockets. It's not a very good problem if you're Jaylen, right?
Yeah, I think logistically, and this, all right, I know we're going to get tagged for hitting on Jalen Green, which whatever.
That's the comment section. Every video is hates Jalen Green. What can I do?
Jalen Green's great, but you're right. Logistically, there are a lot of guys breathing down his neck right now. A lot of really talented players are competing for him with minutes right now, and very importantly, he is due for an extension, and moreover, he has a high public perception. So not only are they incentivized to try to figure out what to do with him before they need to pay him a lot of money, but also they are incentivized to see if someone else will give them something good for him. Like, there are a lot of structural reasons why Jaylen Green is place on this roster is weakened by and it's nothing about even how good he is. It's just like he's older than other ones. He's coming up for a paycheck sooner. He's in the middle of a logjam, and he potentially has pretty high trade value, though potentially maybe doing some work here. But who knows? You never know what the trade value of someone is. But
yeah,
he has some public credit, right? So unfortunately, the reality is that if one of these guys looks better than him, he's the obvious one to jettison. And not because, he sucks or whatever, but if he's only the second best of these four backcourt guys, only second best, it's still probably in your best interest to try to see what you can get for him and not have to pay him right now. That's the reality of it. And it's not his fault. He can avoid this by being the best of them, by playing up to his potential. He can easily avoid this. They will be happy to sign him for a long-term max deal if he looks worth it. They would be overjoyed to be able to make that decision. But he's the one who's going to make that decision for them.
Right. And we can have the conversation about Jalen and Şengün's extensions, right? Like those two. We said this at the beginning I don't know why people were surprised. I think people just now woke up to the reality that the Rockets
don't extend people.
Right. And the fact that they have an amazing amount of cap space next year, right? Potentially, right? Like even with those two cap holds, they're going to have $30.5 million in space, right? Potentially,
what are they going to give that up for?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that they want to keep all options on the table at the very least. Listen, if you're worried that Şengün's not going to get his extension, trust me, he's locked in, right? If he just repeats what he did last year, he's going to get his max extension. You don't have to worry about Şengün, right? If you're a Şengün fan, right, who's this is outrageous, no. No, this is not mistreating him. Trust me, we have talked about that in this podcast. That very subject of the Rockets, perhaps overlooking him. This is not one of those cases. This is the Rockets.
Yeah,
right?
They're going to do whatever they're going to do next summer, and then they're going to give him however much money it takes, which is probably the max. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Unless there's some overwhelming reason why he shouldn't be on the team anymore, which the only thing I can think of is a top 5 player is available and he's the only way they can get him or something like that. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't end up extending him next season for probably the maximum. He's looking like a player that's worth doing it. Don't worry about Şengün. He's going to be okay. And if everyone on the roster right now, he's probably the most likely to be around for long term.
With Jaylen, it's more of a you got to prove it, right? We're not just going to give this to you, man. With Şengün, it's all right. It's purely tactical. With Jaylen, it's more all right, man. You got to really show us that you're worth this. And again, I think he's totally capable of this. I don't know how many times I've said this on this podcast. Third-year leaps are bull. Fourth-year leaps are when you want to look for that growth. This is when you want to look for that leap with Jaylen. If he's gonna make it, it's gonna happen this year. So we'll just see. We'll just see if it comes. If it comes, how great it is. How great is it? Is it enough to end these conversations? We'll see. We're just gonna have to see. Because until then, here's the reality. By February, the Houston Rockets will have up to $45 million in tradable salary without touching their core 7. Without touching them. And Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks. Without touching those 9 players, they're going to have $45 million in salary that is expiring, non-guaranteed, or team options. They have a ton of flexibility.
They have contracts. They have the filler necessary to land literally anything.
And if you throw in Jaylen, it just makes the trade look better. That's just the reality. And here right now, he is the most likely guy you would throw into a trade. right? Just because of his uncertainty. And we're just gonna have to see if he secures a spot. But I came away even more like I was not someone who, after the Rockets took Reed Sheppard, like Jalen better watch his back. But like, I mean, I kind of feel like people who said that are getting a little bit validated, not by summer league, but like more that like he is keeping all of his all-star upside on the table. He's not taking it away.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because everyone's having a great time on the Rockets, but probably except for Jalen a little bit. I mean, there's a whole bunch of players at the game. It was not just Ahmed. Jabari Smith Jr. was there. Tari Eason was there. Even Jayshawn Tate was there.
Jabari has taken on like a real leadership role with the team, like pretty quickly. I mean, like it makes sense. Like he's
got a good head on his shoulders. He's a level-headed dude. He's a fast learner. He's smart.
He's massive and he's tall.
He has good leadership qualities, right? Like he's learned a lot, and he's surprisingly among one of the older guys among this crew, in that he's not like literally 20. So
he's a whopping 21. Yeah.
Like it's good to see it. I mean, that's a good way to try to stick around too, by figuring out how to be like a calming, like veteran type figure at an early age. You can make a pretty good career out of that. So good move from Jabari Smith Jr. I wish him well in this. It's a great role to do, and I think he's going to be good at it.
Do you have any more like holistic takeaways before we get into like Aaron Holiday? I want to end on him really quick.
Okay, so one of my things I was thinking from watching this game. Oh, BB, the cat's tail went away. When I was watching this game, they had like in one segment they had Rafael Smith come on and talk about stuff.
Rafael Stone,
which was fun to see. Yeah,
you said Smith,
and it was really interesting to see him talking. Not because he said anything particularly interesting. It was the same as the case as all. Like they interviewed Jabari Smith Jr. as well. They did a whole bunch of their fluff coverage. But what got me thinking was that everybody is really well coached in this organization. And by that, I mean they know how to talk to the press and not say anything wrong. Like nothing they're saying is particularly interesting because you don't say interesting things to the press. But they all knew what boring things to say. And they all were saying it gladly. Like everyone had nice stories about each other. Everyone was talking about how lovely they were to work with each other. Like it was run very smoothly. And honestly, I think we don't appreciate how good that is, how much of a green flag it is that the organization holistically is able to keep their stuff together. Like they all seem like they're feeling fine, which they're not going to go out there and like make massive mess ups or whatever. Like they're not going to have gas and things, but teams do have gas and things. Some teams are chaotic, and the Rockets are not chaotic at all. This is a very smooth sailing organization right now. Like everything is going fine. No one's worried.
One exception, maybe Dylan Brooks. That's the one agent of chaos like in this entire organization. But you're right. Everybody else buttoned up. Like nothing really like dramatic about any of these guys. I mean, these guys just compete. They play hard. They seem to be good dudes, right? Like it's a joy. Like this is a great situation.
No one's worried for their jobs. They're like hugging each other. Like Ime came up and hugged Reed Sheppard during a sort of his like press availability. Like it all seems harmonious and calm, which is such good news from a culture angle. Like the vibes are perfect. Like you could not ask for better vibes around this team. Like all the players seem chill and fun. They all seem like they're having a good time. They all seem like they're glad to be there. All the staff seems like they're glad to be there. No one seems like they're looking over their shoulders at getting fired or anything. This is that culture. For many years we were talking about like we need to get this Rockets team culture set right. We need to especially during the Harden years, things got chaotic and weird because that's what happens. And like the culture rebuild we've been asking for really seems like it's here. Like this seems to be a good place to work, which is something I've been worried about for a long time, honestly, ever since ownership changed. Like ownership changed and things got chaotic, but it seems like things have calmed down quite a lot, and it's exactly what I want to see from the team. I want to see the team be boring and happy because that's how you establish a winning culture, and that's how you establish a team that people want to be a part of.
Yeah, like it may have literally just been new ownership syndrome with Tillman. Like he was like the West again. I go back to the Westbrook trade as like the biggest pivotal mistake he made, right? And ever since then, it's like, okay, he's letting Rafael just do his thing. Rafael's doing a great job. Ime's doing a great job. The players are doing a great job, right? Like it's just. I mean, this is, as you can say, like the problems that they have are, oh, there's too much, there's too many. What kind of spoiled bullshit is this? Like we're talking about, like this may be like they may have to like trade one of these really awesome prospects because these other awesome prospects need time and money.
What are they gonna do with all the young rotation players? They have too many.
Yeah, they can't possibly pay all these guys. Like what kind of, it's such a nonsense problem, right? But that's where they're at. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of my biggest takeaway from this. I mean, this is just like, this is nonsense. What this is. This rebuilds aren't this smooth. Rockets fans,
Yeah.
like, this is the most chaos you ever had was with KPJ, and that's it, right? Like, other than that, this has been a very smooth rebuild that doesn't happen that often. Look at Detroit.
Yeah.
Look at Detroit.
Look at how long it took the Timberwolves to go from rebuild to back to the playoffs. It was like over a decade. It's terrible. Like, look at what happened to the Kings until very recently.
Charlotte.
Look at Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is very
They've been
rare
rebuilding forever.
I mean, the Sixers, when they did their process, it took them 5 years of bottoming out.
So many mess ups. Like not mess ups, but like so many out of control elements of that rebuild.
If you look at this looks like someone wrote up, like if they wrote up a plan to show to Tillman of how the rebuild they want it to go, just did it. It looks like they just wrote up a plan and were like, best case scenario, we do this. And then they hit it on every point. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, they're not back to the part where they're a championship contender yet, but you could not have asked for anything to go better than it has for these last 3 seasons, honestly.
Yeah, I don't even want that pressure yet. Like, give me one more year of fun. One more year of like, let's beat expectations, and then we can talk about like, okay, let's get some expectations, you know, right? Like right now, it's like, okay, like the happy-go-lucky Rockets, can they make the playoffs next year? Right?
We're in the early part of the biopic where like they just got discovered and are having a great time with their newfound fame.
Right. No drugs. No bad. Everything's great. Everything's great.
This is buying your mom a house and like being a really happy part of the story. Yeah.
Right. Like no backstabbing. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. No. Real quick, Aaron Holiday, because I forgot to talk about this 2 weeks ago when it happened. He re-signs with the Rockets on a 2-year deal. Second year, I thought it was going to be non-guaranteed. Ended up being non-guaranteed. I mean, I really like this deal because not only is Aaron Holiday just a good player to have, right? He's just a good shooter,
it's fine,
good backup guard, right? It's like he's just a good guy, right? Like a good guy to have. Great contract. Like they're just continuing the whole. We're gonna keep that stat that I read off about them having $45 million in contract that includes Aaron Holiday, right? He's like the 5. Right? And like he gets you, but like these little deals that they like, this is why having a good jet front office is so important, right? Because even if you miss on things, right? If you just get tiny little wins here and there, right? Like Jayshawn Tate, nice little contract. Jeff Green, nice little contract. Jock Lando, nice little contract, right? Like you just keep getting like nice little contracts here. There's Steven Adams, nice little contract that they just traded for, right? They traded KPJ for instead of waiving him, right? Like nice little contracts here and there, like not really much, not noteworthy moves in and of itself, right? When you look at the whole picture, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. What they're doing, right? They're ready. They're ready. Like now, whether or not they do it. And when I say whether or not they do it, whether or not there's someone that's worth it.
It's not up to them. That's the thing. It's not up to them. But they can stay ready, and that's the important part.
Right, and this Phoenix trade makes them even more ready because they just got more ammo. But they're ready, right? Everybody talks about the Thunder, and they talk about the Knicks. The Knicks just wasted their capital, but like the Jazz, the Rockets have been in that conversation. And they've never left. They've only increased their aggressiveness in keeping that flexibility open. And the rumors just don't go away. The piece of reporting that we get about the Rockets includes a line about how they're they're exploring trades for stars, right? They're quietly looking at the market. They're quietly exploring the market. Oh, Zion. Oh, Brandon Ingram. All these little cute little names are coming up, right? For the Rockets, right? Like they're sniffing around. Like and player like it's painting the picture of an organization that's like, just hibernating, just waiting to pounce. We'll see if they do it, but I don't know. That's my takeaway from the Aaron Holiday thing. It's like, okay, it's not about Aaron Holiday. It's about his contract.
Yeah. I mean, and look, it's good to have depth there, and it's for the right price. There's nothing wrong with that on its own. And yeah, they are putting together this is what they want to do, and they're smart about doing it. I think that's the legacy of Stone from previous GM Daryl Morey that he was in the administration of, is what they really were good at above everything else was making these moves around the margins, just constantly with every small thing they do,
right,
putting themselves in a better position tomorrow than they were yesterday. Yeah, this team now has one of the best war chests in the league. Like, it's hard to like what teams do you think have a better war chest for a star than
maybe
Houston does?
The Jazz, right? Because they got Lauri Markkanen, right? And like Lauri Markkanen's probably the best available player, right? Unless Jalen Green makes a leap, right? But like if that's the thing. It's just one team, maybe.
Yeah, I mean I think this also makes the Steven Adams trade make even more sense, which already made sense. But in light of that, they do have so many guys. Like, what are they going to do with these second round draft picks? Draft more guys and play more guys? They're full up on guys, so it's good to use those second round draft picks to turn them into something that is more tangible, into a player who is a tradable and worthwhile player. Like all this stuff, like holistic, all this stuff makes sense. Look, Stone has been earning that contract extension. He's been earning it for before he got it. He's been earning it since he got it.
I mean, if you were to ask me, I think he's exceeded whatever that was. Like, because I talked about how like I think he deserves a modest contract extension. The moves he made since the contract extensions, particularly that Nets trade, and particularly the drafting of Sheppard, he's made moves since then that I'm like, oh, like he is like, I don't think there's been a noticeable drop off from Morey. That's big because I consider Morey to be one of the best general managers in basketball. Right? I don't think there's been a big drop off.
Yeah.
Now Stone he doesn't have the resume anymore. He's never drawn a star. He's never traded for a star, right? But I mean, look at all these young players, man. Like they may have drafted one, right? Like they may have drafted 2, 3, right? Like it's a really impressive resume, and we're just gonna have to see what they do.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch the remaining summer league games because even beyond Cam and Reed, it's been fun to watch like AJ Griffin play. There's dudes who are fun to check out. The team is fun to watch. This year I actually am excited for more Rockets basketball, which is a great compliment to the team. I want all I can get. So it's sad that we're not going to get to watch them again after summer league until the fall. Everything I'm seeing tells me that it's going to be a good season because this team knows what they're doing.
Guys, if you're going to play, like, knock on wood, let's just not have to deal with it, right? Like, hang it up. Like go home.
Just stay safe.
We've seen enough. We're good. We're done. We're fine. I don't want to watch Summer League anymore. I've seen it. I'm good. Right? I'm thrilled that you're providing people to all those a show for all those hardworking fans, right? That are at the games and they're there to see these guys. But like, the fans, like they paid like $15 for an all day pass anyways. They can go see somebody else, right? Like they go home, be healthy, wait till the preseason. Like we're fine.
I'm ready for preseason. Honestly, I'm hoping that nothing happens between now and October. The less news, the better. If this is smooth sailing until preseason, that's great, and I'll be happy all the way.
Thank you so much for coming on for us. Again, if you liked the show, give us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That really helps other Rockets fans find the show. Also, like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. I'll talk to you guys next week.